So, you might have noticed during my trailer reaction for this that I was a little bummed out watching it for two reasons. First, I don't think it was very good from like a fun action, oh my goodness, look at this standpoint. A first big, like the first teaser even from a little while ago was, I think, more exciting. But this is our first full trailer. It's 2.5 minutes long. And I don't think there's like, when I was doing the poster frame for what's going to be the poster frame, there wasn't anything except for like that photo of, it's very charming, of Miles and Gwen, sitting upside down on date night. But that's it. They didn't add anything new to the conversation. They've been using that still to promote this trailer drop for days now. And that's really shocking to me that there wasn't a single frame where I was like, that's it. So I think that's a bummer. I really want the sequel to do well. I'm a big Miles Morales fan, and I've been a big Miles Morales defender. And it's really sad that he needs defending. But once again, we've been having this conversation a lot when it comes to representation, and that's that Hollywood so often overplays its hand and ends up lecturing more than just showing. And it hurts the projects. They don't do as well as they should, and it's a big problem. And it's not just for representation of ethnicity, but look at the new movie She Said. And on the flip side, She Said is very message based. But think about Birds of Prey. Think about what happened with the way Birds of Prey went down, and it's just really frustrating. I think there's a fine line, as I said, between I think that you want people to feel represented. And you also want to show different groups to a broader audience and bring them in and say, hey, look at this, walk in these people's shoes. And we've been talking about this on Movie Math. On Movie Math, we've been talking about the fact that Hollywood historically has been one of the first places to break down barriers and undo stereotypes by showing you other people's worlds and experiences. And as we become, well, I watch everything, and I'm very excited about this movie and will definitely be seated for the sequel. But we're seeing audiences become more fractured because they have so many options, and so many of those options are tailored specifically to them, but also to just their group. And so nobody's getting very few things are watched by everybody anymore. And I want everyone to watch this Spider-Man movie, and I'm nervous about it now. I think to some degree, it's the change in talent. I think that Joaquim Dos Santos they changed all the directors. Joaquim Dos Santos did a really nice job. That makes me feel the action is going to be good because he comes from Justice League Unlimited and Avatar and Korra. So he knows what he's doing. And Kemp Powers, I loved Soul. But Soul, while it did portray a specific community, it did not lecture about that community. It was about life in general and music and things that we love. And it showed, that's universal. And it was a beautiful movie. But Kemp Powers also did the more political One Night in Miami, which I did not care for, and really did not do very well with audiences or with awards. And so I do wonder, if maybe some of the people who've joined this project are going to maybe just, talk more than show. And again, I feel bad because that's going to limit the audience, and I really don't want that to happen. It's very frustrating to me. I want this to be a big hit because I want Miles Morales to come into live action. Lord and Miller, who are, of course, wonderful, are still scripting. And they've brought on David Callahan, who has a very spotty track record. I thought he did nice work with Shang-Chi, but who knows how much of that is accredited to Destin Daniel Cretton. Probably a lot, considering the rest of David Callahan's work isn't that good. So I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. So let's go through this, but I'm curious as to what you think. Where do you think the fine line is between representation and then it becoming more of a lecture? And I'm not sure if this movie's crossed that line, to be fair with you, but I feel like this teaser trailer does not, I worry about, again, limited appeal, which I do not want for Miles Morales. He is a fabulous character. And the first movie, by the way, which had a diverse team of people working on it, hit that sweet spot just perfectly. And it had a very broad appeal, I feel, because of that. All right, here we go. Doesn't this look great? It looks just like Uptown New York. There's a better shot with a little bit more. I want to talk about a good version of representation there, but this looks great. So this is just some clips. And they get you ready. They're like, it's a new trailer. And you're like, is it? You have so much footage from the other movie. And they're like, leave us alone. All right, so I do love the way they change the graphics, like it blips, because not only are they showing you the different types of art styles and venues that Spider-Man has been shown in throughout the years, art styles on comics change, etc., animation styles change, but also represents the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, and that every time it blips, it's like a different place. And I gotta tell you, I think that this movie's success did a lot to inspire Kevin Feige to want to build his own multiverse, and this first movie still did it best. So I hope that they continue to keep that bar high. So we're like, woohoo! All right, in association with Marvel. And I was surprised to have such a slow opening. I was like, oh, is this a clip from the movie? And in some ways, it is. So he's on the roof looking out at the city. There's some great song lyrics about stuff like that too, actually. Very interesting. I believe, did they discuss that? I think, and was it Ozark? I saw them recently discussing the lyrics of something and what it meant, and I thought it was really beautiful. I love that. It was about a song about looking across, at Manhattan from the outer boroughs, and I thought it was really, really quite poetic and amazing. So here's his mother. I think it's great to see Rio Morales. We focused so much on his dad last time, and we haven't focused too much on his mom in the comics either. I read all of Brian Michael Bendis' Miles Morales comics, and I read them for a little bit after he left the title, but I just couldn't stick with it because I think the title lost a lot of what made it special. It just became another generic. I'm not reading Spider-Man himself, the main title either now. I read it when Dan Slott was in charge of it, and I thought it was much better then. I don't care for it too much right now. So at first I thought his mother was upset that she interrupted his literal game, like he'd had a game earlier in the day, but I believe he was with Gwen Stacy maybe. And then I'd be like, what are you doing? Don't get in there. Give him some space. But she's concerned. She's a concerned mom. And I think parents is a theme in this trailer. I guess we'll go over it right now. I think parents is a theme in the movie, perhaps, because you not only have Rio Morales talking about how Miles will always be her baby boy, and I think that's really sweet and kind, and I'm sure relatable to many parents. But, of course, we see that Peter B. Parker seems to have patched things up with Mary Jane Watson, and he has his daughter Mayday. That is huge. Before Miles Morales became the most popular other version of Spider-Man, it was Mayday Parker, named after his Aunt May, who was very popular for a while there. She was super popular. In fact, it's weird that she faded away. But, before there was Miles Morales, there was Mayday Parker. So it would be funny if maybe because, this is the Spider-Verse, you can age characters up pretty quickly, if maybe we got to have Mayday in here. Although, what would Spider-Gwen do then? Because, they're kind of, I guess to some degree similar characters. And then Jessica Drew, of course. This is the pregnant version of Jessica Drew. She goes on to have a baby named Jerry. I love that her baby's name is Jerry, who also has spider powers. And then it seems that Miguel O'Hara also has a daughter in this movie. He does not in the comics. And it seems that maybe something has happened to his daughter. And that, I'm like, isn't that what we just did in the last movie with Kingpin and missing his family and his son and his wife? So it's weird to me that they would repeat that unless they're intentionally trying to build on that. But let's see. But I think that would be a weird choice. So I wonder why there's so much focus on parents these days in Hollywood. I guess all the creators are at a certain age where they're becoming parents, because the new Avatar, James Cameron's a older generation, but the new Avatar is very parental focused. So we have these great old flashbacks I think it's great they included the Stan Lee flashback. That was a great surprise. I'll never forget at the press screening. My whole audience, all the press was like, that's nice. That's real nice, because he had just recently, I believe, passed away. And it was really gorgeous to see him there immortalized like that and to have such a wonderful message. And of course, Spider-Man is his signature character. Although, of course, there's always the conversations about how much ownership Stan Lee truly has. But, talking about how she just wants her son to be happy and, and to feel that he belongs. And I think that's powerful messages for today, particularly for, children of color. And so I think, that's, again, it's like you want to represent that. You want to talk about that, but you need to know where the line is that you keep everybody hooked in, everybody. Because, Spider-Man is a 4-quadrant character. And if a version of Spider-Man can't deliver 4-quadrant appeal, it's a problem. Unless it wins another Oscar, then it's fun. So here we are in modern times, okay? This current movie, I love the Miles Morales Spider-Man suit, and it looks so good in this style of animation. One of the best things about the Spider-Man costume that they never can get in the movies, but Deadpool, they do the VFX on the Deadpool eyes in live action, but the way the Spider-Man eyes have so much expression is fabulous, and I love that they do that in these animated movies. So this is Uptown New York, or one of the boroughs. And you can see a lot of representation, just like in real life, of the communities that are expanded here. And by the way, this has been going on in America for a very long time. With the people from Europe, and that's why you have Little Italy, and you have Chinatown, and you have a big Irish population. If you watch The Knick, there was a lot of problems with people feeling about, all the Irish people coming over. So, the cycle repeats itself. And that's why you should know your history, because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. But you can see representation here with the Puerto Rico flag. Then that is the Trinidad and Tobago flag. And then the Dominican Republic there on the end. And I think that's a really nice touch. That looks great. And it reminds me, well, hold on. So he's saving the day. Look, he stops that taxi. And then, he's like, you done good, kid. And then I love that. And then he gets some lunch and he pays for it because he's a nice boy. And this reminds me of Tom Holland really running around his neighborhood. And they actually put Tom Holland in a similar neighborhood. The new Tom Holland Spider-Man borrows extensively from Miles Morales, which really bothers me because, you want to make sure that you have a distinction between these characters. And I think that maybe that's one of the things, I don't like that people are still coming after Miles. I think it's horrible. And maybe because of them blurring the line, Ned or Gonk was his friend first, and then they gave that to Tom Holland, and so maybe that's creating this even competitive situation. And it's very annoying to me. All right, so I love his relationship with his dad. So here you can see he's a little bit older. Are they having a problem, or is this just teenagers being, a little bit moody? But this also reminds me a little bit of the community thing that they set up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, with those scenes with his community. So there, date night, portal opens, another hexagon. What? Wanda. So she's like, you want to get out of here? And in the comics, they are a couple as well. In fact, in one reality, they even had a son together named Max. Oh, that'd be great. I love it. They're a great couple. So that looks like that's how you travel around this. Okay, we'll talk about it. All right, I guess we'll talk about it now. There's a lot of overlap here. So in the comics, there's the web of life and destiny, which connects all the spider people across all the different Spider-Verse, multiverses. And so I think that's kind of what they're traveling here. Now, Madam Web is supposed to be at the center of all of that, and I wonder if they'll introduce her here, because of course she has a live action movie coming up with Dakota Johnson. We'll see. We'll see if they decide to do that. That's how good the first Miles Morales movie was. All these live action movies are copying it to a degree. But anyway, it's kind of weird to have the Web of Life and Destiny without Madam Web. Or some version of her. Cassandra Webb or Julia Carpenter, who took over, who we all believe is who Dakota Johnson is playing. But also, there was a very popular comic book a few years ago called The Spider-Verse, and apparently it was very popular. I didn't read it. I gotta tell you, here's a secret. I don't like all the Spider-Men. I mean, I like Miles. I like the main ones. But when they start getting into all these crazy, all these variants, I'm like, it just looks like a pile of action figures to me. So it's a little bit too much for me, and I'm curious to see what the broad appeal will be of this. Especially since, again, doubling down, double dipping. We just did multiple Spider-Men in the No Way Home movie. So is that going to hurt this a little bit? It's frustrating. So there's too many Spider-Men here. I tried to look them all up. I was like, this is going to take me days. And some of them I think are just made up. So that, though, let's point out the ones that I recognize and that I think are a big deal. And if you have any that you think I've missed that you think are a really big deal, please put them down below in the comments. So that's obviously the PS4 suit. So that's a very popular suit that everybody knows quite well. Looking good. It is nice. It is a nice suit. And then as we come along, oh, look, see, I was like, oh, look, that is the worst names ever. That's Spinneret in another reality where Mary Jane Watson has Spider-Man. I think she has them like through technology, but that's her and Peter Parker's daughter, Annie, aka Spider-Ling. They have lots of children in different realities of different names. So, of course, Mayday Parker is the most famous, but then there's also Spider-Ling right there. All right, so it's a lot of Spider-Man. All right. And then that Baghead Spider-Man is actually also from the comics. There's a werewolf guy over there too, which is kind of interesting. And you can see it's a mix of men and women and, I'm sure all different types of people. And that's the whole point, that anyone can be Spider-Man because he's from your neighborhood. And they talk about that. And, Stan Lee talked about that. His cameo, and I think, Jamie Foxx talked about that even when he was, when he found out who Peter Parker really was in the No Way Home movie, and I think that that's important. And so here we go. So there, I like that she kind of kept her hair that way. All right, so here's Peter B. Parker, and he's got his baby Bjorn. I think you can see another shot where Mayday's actually in it. And she's going to be a baby that can crawl on the ceiling. Hijinks ensue. But I love that he's still embracing comfortable, right? He's gone from sweatpants to full-on robe. So that's great. I love Jake Johnson. I think he's a fabulous, fabulous Spider-Man. Or Peter Parker. So here's that great shot of date night. You can tell they're upside down, not only because of the buildings, but because of her hair. And I think that's really cute. Like she does the shoulder nudge. Oh, I love it. All right, so here we go. Not only do we have Jessica Drew here, this is a variation on the character. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we have a variation on Vulture. And, apparently this is supposed to be based on the Renaissance. But what I like about it is that it's a different style of drawing and even down to the colorization. And then it looks very much like the illustrations and the plans of Leonardo da Vinci, his sketches. So I think that's a really clever choice for Vulture, that he even comes in Leonardo da Vinci graphics. So instead of just being inspired by him. Maybe it is Leonardo da Vinci, right? I mean, that would be hilarious. But here's Jessica Drew. Now, some people have pointed out that this could also be a nod to who was actually technically the first Spider-Woman, which was a female character of color named Valerie, who was like Batgirl, a librarian, interestingly enough. I don't know why comic book creators were like, who would be cool if the female superheroes were all librarians. I'm like, what, you think people would be getting these comics in the library and look at the librarian and be like, who knows? It's weird to me. That's what they all picked. I guess it's better than them all being secretaries. All right, so anyway, here she is, and she does ride a motorcycle in the comics, and she is pregnant in the comics. I read those comics. They were wonderful. And they did decide to race bend the character. This is the multiverse or the Spider-Verse. You can have any variation of any character. So I think it's fine, but I'm just guarding myself for the problem. And I do think she looks a lot like Misty Knight. And so I'm like, why would you do that? Talk about taking away from another character. I'm like, why wouldn't we just do Misty Knight, who, by the way, does hang out and work with Spider-Man sometimes? So I think they would have been better off instead of race bending for the most part, it doesn't work. It's better to have a new character like Miles Morales. So, we'll see how this character comes across. It's Issa Rae doing the voice, who is a delight. So we know she's going to be a lot of fun and really personable. But I think that it would have served this movie better, and it would have served Issa Rae better if they had just maybe done the original Valerie Spider-Woman. And I think that this potentially would have gone a lot better for them. Maybe her name will be Valerie, and she just has the graphics of Spider-Woman and the pregnancy storyline of Jessica Drew. I think that would maybe be a better choice. So she's got the moves, though. There's a very cool shot of her when she turns around that I like a lot. All right, so it looks like they're setting up the villain. Let's see if this is a misdirect, but it's Miguel O'Hara. So there he is. It looks like Briella, I thought I said B there before. I was right, Briella. So it looks like he's missing a kid too. He's pulling a kingpin, and he's not happy about it. He's got claws. Ooh, this spider's got claws. And so there's that shot. She looks great there. Isn't that beautiful? That is a gorgeous shot. I really love it. And again, another problem that Hollywood has had is colorism. So I'm glad that this is a darker skinned character. I think that's really wonderful, and she looks really cool. So I would like her to be popular and for her to succeed. So here's hoping. Is she with Miguel? Is she against him? Is she with him, but she maybe thinks she shouldn't be? I'm curious to see what's happening here. All right, so that's the web of life and destiny. And his mom says, promise me that you will always feel that, have this. I think she says that you always know that you belong, but I think she's talking about self-confidence and putting yourself out there. And I think that's a beautiful message. I hope all children hear that. All people. You're never too late to get some self-confidence. And it's never too late not to have any. So be sympathetic to that. All right, but then, so they stopped it, and I thought, it's like a record scratch, and I was like, oh no, is there a problem with the trailer? But they're like, no, that was pretty slow, let's have some action. So we've got all these spider people going after Miles for some reason, and you can see one of them has multiple arms. They do that sometimes, like a real spider. Metal arms, real arms, okay. But, Miles is giving them a literal run for their money. And look, in some of these animation pieces, you can see they do a great job with the action, and you can see like the blur. And it's really cool. A lot of these you could frame them. Animation cells are considered by many people works of art. And it looks like this movie is no exception, which is delightful. So look at that. So here's Miguel. And I love the way that that trail behind him kind of lights up, but I think that's Miles in that machine. And Miguel does not seem happy about it. But look at this design on Miguel. Whoa, he looks fantastic. I think he looks super cool. He looks really great. Awesome. And that's, of course, Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is voicing that character. Although he just did Moon Knight. I don't know if this ended up being the best choice. But he is great. Oscar Isaac is a fabulous actor. All right, so more chasing him. Oh no, you can do it, Miles. Don't worry, it's your movie. I like that the baghead guy comes back. And he's in that crazy old school animation. I like that they're all not only in their costumes, but in the animation that they come from, or the comic style or era. I think that's fabulous. All right, and then this is fabulous. I love this. This animation style on Gwen Stacy. It just is so cool. It's so trippy and it's so artistic, and it has the graffiti qualities that Miles himself is very good at. I love that they made Miles an artist, and this is such an artistic, visually exciting project. It's like something Miles himself would create. She's like, we're supposed to be the heroes. And that's great. I'm very excited for Avatar style action. And Miguel is like every villain, maybe, he's like, I am the hero. Look at those notes. Is that like a note, from the sketch work? Oh, that's such a clever choice. It is. It's like drafting notes. Oh, that is a nice idea. That's brilliant. I think maybe this will be a contender for the Oscar again. And look, he's got laser webs. Laser webs. Oh, poor Miles. See, every time. Also, that's another thing for spider people. Their masks always fall off so you can see them. And there's poor Miles. He's like, oh, it's not going well. And then, oh, look at that. Across the Spider-Verse. I'm very excited. Hitting June 2nd, 2023. In IMAX format. I'd be nervous if I were them. I would move this film. I got to tell you, I'm a little nervous about it. It's got to compete with a lot of movies in June, and I think it's going to have an uphill battle. And I think this is something that demands to be seen on a premium screen, and it's only going to happen for a week. That's ridiculous. They should find a space where it could at least have it for, 2 weeks? Dare we dream? But it looks really phenomenal. I'm excited about it, but I think from a business perspective, they've made some mistakes. Hopefully that's just how this trailer is cut, and hopefully that it is more, a little bit more savvy in the finished product. So what did you think of the trailer? What did you like about it? What did maybe you think could be a little better? And which Spider-Men, or I guess Spider people, did you spot that were particularly stood out to you? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.